The life of Umar, known to some perhaps unfairly as the corrupt, continued its complex trajectory. A man forged in the crucible of ambition, philosophy, and unwavering Ash'ari faith. His journey now turned towards the very heart of his beliefs. Having navigated the treacherous highlands of Abyssinia and begun imposing order in the chaotic lands of Alodia, Umar felt a deeper calling, a need for spiritual affirmation. He resolved to undertake the Hajj, the sacred pilgrimage to Mecca. This was no mere journey. It was a pillar of his faith, an obligation, and perhaps for a man grappling with a tarnished reputation and monumental ambitions, a path to purification and divine favor. Preparations were meticulous. Umar planned the route with care, seeking paths that minimized danger while fulfilling the spiritual prerequisites. He adjusted the itinerary, avoiding known perils, ensuring his retinue, and now including his family, could travel with relative security. His focus sharpened towards zealotry, a fervent desire to deepen his connection to the divine, to become a more potent instrument for the spread of his faith. The journey itself was an ordeal, a test of faith and endurance. Vast deserts stretched before them, punctuated by stark ancient ruins whispering tales of forgotten empires. Danger was a constant companion. Almost immediately, perils emerged from the wilderness. High in the mountains, they encountered bandits lurking amongst the crags, preying on vulnerable travelers. Umar, however, relied not on immediate violence, but on his intellect and persuasive power. He confronted the brigands, reasoning with them, perhaps appealing to the shared humanity or invoking the fear of the divine retribution. His words prevailed. They were allowed to pass unharmed. Not all encounters were resolved so peacefully. Along the route, Umar met a woman, perhaps a local adherent to a different creed, or maybe someone simply resistant to his message. Driven by his burgeoning zeal, Umar attempted to convert her, to bring her into the fold of Ash'ari Islam. He presented arguments, theological proofs, perhaps spoke of the solace and truth found in his faith. But his efforts were met with firm rejection. The woman remained unconverted, and more than that, a spark of animosity ignited between them. This failed conversion fostered a deep-seated opposition. She became an adversary, a recurring challenge, a nemesis whose path would likely cross Umar's again. Yet amidst the trials of the journey, life continued its own sacred rhythm. News arrived that brought profound joy and dynastic significance. The birth of his first son. In keeping with a tradition he perhaps established himself, seeking to build a legacy, the child was named Umar. Umar the Younger. Heir to his father's ambition, complexities, and hopefully his strengths. The weight of fatherhood, the hope of the future, now rested on this infant's shoulders. After weeks, perhaps months of arduous travel, facing dangers both natural and human, Umar and his caravan finally reached their sacred destination, Mecca. The air hummed with devotion, pilgrims from across the known world converging on this holy city. Umar, shedding the burdens of his worldly struggles, committed himself fully to the rituals, to the profound spiritual experience. He felt the cleansing powers of the Ihram, embracing the required state of purity, vowing against arrogance, vanity, and base thoughts. He joined the swirling sea of humanity, circumambulating the Kaaba, the black cube, the symbolic house of God. 7 times he walked, his heart focused on prayer, reflection, connection. Each lap was a step away from his path, a step towards divine closeness. He sought out the well of Zamzam, drinking the sacred water, remembering the trials of Hagar and Ishmael, reaffirming his place within the long lineage of faith. The water felt like a balm, quenching not just physical thirst, but a deeper spiritual longing. The culmination approached, the sacrifice. A testament to faith and submission, mirroring Abram's willingness to sacrifice his son. Umar, demonstrating his devotion and perhaps his status, prepared a significant offering. Not just 1 or 2 animals, but a substantial donation. 63 camels. A considerable display of wealth given back to God, distributed amongst the needy, fulfilling the charitable aspects of the rite. This act resonated with his ambition, a grand gesture for a man with grand designs. Finally, the symbolic act of shaving the head, signifying rebirth in humility. Umar submitted, yet curiously, his distinctive beard remained. Or perhaps, as the chronicles might whimsically suggest, it grew back with astonishing speed. A small vanity, perhaps, or a sign that even in utmost devotion, Umar retained his unique identity. The Hajj was complete. Umar emerged spiritually fortified, his devotion deepened, recognized as a Haji, bearing the honor and responsibility that title conferred. He had gained immense piety, a tangible measure of his successful pilgrimage, though it came at a cost, leaving his coffers temporarily depleted. The return journey began. Umar, carrying the profound experience of Mecca within him, he traveled back towards the land where his work remained unfinished. Back towards Alodia, or as it was increasingly becoming known through the shifting powers and boundaries, Nubia. The political landscape was as fluid as the desert sands, but Umar's purpose remained constant. He returned home, his camp now base of operations in the eastern lands. Refreshed spiritually, but perhaps still chafing under the corrupt label, Umar immediately resumed his campaign against local malfeasance. Corruption remained rampant in Nubia, hindering stability and prosperity. He upgraded his facilities, improving his defense and strengthening his religious doctrine. His focus was relentless: investigate, expose, rectify. Each successful intervention chipped away at the region's disorder, and perhaps in his own mind, at the unjust moniker attached to his name. During one such expedition into the Nubian hinterlands, his path crossed with an unusual sight. A young boy, seemingly wild, perhaps orphaned or abandoned, possessing a fierce, untamed spirit reminiscent of a lion cub. Umar, ever perceptive, saw potential beneath the dirt and fear. Was it the boy's resilience, a spark of intelligence in his eyes? Umar took him in, adopting the lion boy Stefan into his household. He envisioned raising him as a warrior, a loyal defender, adding another capable hand to his growing family and retinue. Family life continued to blossom amidst the rigors of Umar's public duties. Soon after adopting Stefan, another son was born, Hassan. 2 sons now, Umar and Hassan, the foundation of his lineage. The philosopher warrior now had heirs to train, a dynasty to build. This growing family likely spurred Umar to further secure his position and resources. He intensified recruitment efforts, seeing more skilled men-at-arms, loyal followers to strengthen his contingent. He began to formally organizing his fighting force, laying the groundwork for a more substantial army, perhaps envisioning future campaigns beyond mere anti-corruption patrols. Having established a foothold in Nubia, Umar felt the pull to expand his knowledge and influence further north, perhaps towards Egypt or the Mediterranean world. But before embarking on the new external journeys, he turned his attention inward to the spiritual state of his own camp. His retinue was diverse, including many Coptic Christians who had followed him from Abyssinia or joined him locally. Umar, now imbued with the zeal of a Haji and perhaps seeking greater unity within his ranks, decided the time has come for spiritual consolidation. He issued an ultimatum to his Coptic followers: embrace the Ash'ari path, accept his faith as his own. It was a bold, potentially divisive move. He likely engaged them in theological debate, used his persuasive skills, perhaps offered incentives, or maybe simply demanded loyalty. The pressure must have been immense, most perhaps seeing the strength of Umar's conviction, the benefits of allying with his rising power, or genuinely persuaded by his arguments, chose to convert. A few, however, held firm to their ancestral faith, creating potential friction within the camp. This act of internal conversion, solidifying his camp's religious identity, combined with his tireless missionary work in defense of Ash'ari interests, earned Umar significant recognition. He was acknowledged as a defender of the faith, a title reflecting his commitment, his zeal, his willingness to champion his beliefs actively. This further honed his identity as a religious leader, moving beyond mere philosophy towards active, assertive propagations of his faith. Life on the move required constant resourcefulness. During travels, perhaps scouts found a hidden cache of supplies, or a successful hunt provided welcome sustenance. These small windfalls were vital for maintaining morale and operational capability. Umar's focus then shifted again northward, to the lands bordering the Arabian Peninsula. He undertook an arbitration mission, mediating a dispute, applying his intellect and growing authority to resolve conflicts peacefully. Diplomacy and justice were tools as important as the sword or the sermon. Amidst these travels, his family continued to grow with the birth of another daughter. His household now echoed with the sounds of children: Umar Jr., Hassan, Falasha, another daughter, and Stefan. Umar recruited more followers, his retinue steadily expanding. He also undertook another charitable mission, soliciting alms, demonstrating his piety and providing for the needy, further enhancing his reputation in religious circles. Challenges arose within his own household. Stefan, the lion boy, proved resistant to traditional learning. Despite Umar's efforts, the boy struggled with his studies, yet Umar persisted. Seeing the boy's potential perhaps lying elsewhere, maybe in martial skill or simple loyalty, he kept Stefan close, hoping time and patience would yield results. Meanwhile, his firstborn, Umar Jr., showed a thoughtful, perhaps cautious nature, becoming pensive. Seeing this inclination, Umar guided his son's education towards stewardship, perhaps recognizing the vital importance of managing resources and finances for any future leader. Through constant study, debate, contemplation, and practical application of his faith in missionary work and leadership, Umar reached a significant intellectual and spiritual milestone. He achieved recognition as a theologian, a master of religious doctrine, his understanding profound, his arguments authoritative. This academic achievement marked him as a formidable figure in both action and thought. He spent considerable time in the land of the Hashemids, perhaps near Mecca or Medina, deepening his connections and knowledge. Having attained this mastery, Umar shifted his focus slightly. While still a theologian, he embraced the path of a wanderer, perhaps feeling a call to travel more broadly, to engage with diverse communities, to spread his knowledge and faith not from a fixed base, but from continuous movement and interaction. This suited his restless ambition and his desire to see influence more of the world. Opportunity arose to participate in a grand tournament, a gathering of warriors, nobles, and adventurers. Drawn by the prospect of renowned networking, or perhaps simply testing his mettle in a different arena, Umar attended. While not primarily a warrior, his ambition drove him to participate where he could. He entered the horse race, a contest of speed and skill. He chose a random stranger, a gamble, relying on the judgment of horse flesh and unknown skill. The race began, a thunder of hooves, a cloud of dust, the roar of the crowd. Umar, caught in the excitement, took a gamble, instructing his rider with a bold, perhaps reckless command, "Grab the reins," suggesting a risky maneuver for advantage, but the gamble failed. His horse and rider did not win, victory went elsewhere. Though he lost the race, Umar perhaps gained experience, observed rivals, and earned the minor distinction of horse racer, a small anecdote in his larger story. The tournament concluded, a brief diversion into the world of martial games and courtly spectacles. Following the tournament, Umar resumed his travels, perhaps journeying with fellow pilgrims returning from Mecca. These interactions provided opportunities for discussion and debate, strengthening bonds within the wider Ashari community. However, travel remained perilous. Crossing desert mountains posed significant risks, requiring careful planning and route adjustments to ensure safety. Especially with his family in tow, he navigated these dangers successfully, his pragmatism balancing his faith. Back in his camp, domestic life presented his own challenges. One of his younger daughters, perhaps overwhelmed by the constant movement and confines of camp life, grew restless, demanding, wanting more space, more attention. Umar, the leader of man, an aspire unifier of continents, had to turn his attention to calming a distraught child. He managed, employing patience and understanding, restoring peace to his tent. As the phase of his life grew to a close, Umar paused to take stock. He was Haji Umar. Umar the theologian, Umar the defender of the faith. Father to a growing family, leader of an expanding retinue, a force of order in Ashari Islam and Nubia, yet the shadow of Umar the corrupt still lingered. His ambition burned as brightly as ever. His vision for Africa remained, his faith deepened by pilgrimage and study. The journey was far from over. The philosopher king in waiting contemplated his next move, the vast, challenging continent stretching before him.